Hey friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we have a very fun task ahead of us. We are planting some massive trees here at what I have always affectionately called the wedding nook, and it is going to come to fruition this coming May because this is the area that Alyssa is getting married. Now, to give you a little bit of a frame of reference, because this is kind of maybe a different spot than what y'all are used to. So I'm going to try to put it in perspective here. Here we go. So I'm going to flip the camera around. I am actually standing on the other side of the creek from the nursery. Obviously, you can see the barn. Signature garden is right here. Obviously, the greenhouse and the shrub lot. So the wedding nook, as I have called it for years and years and years, because I always kind of envisioned this happening here, is this natural area, a nook in the meadow that is surrounded by the creek, because the creek comes down and does a loop all the way around right here. And this little area right here is a protected area. You don't see it if you're standing there at the shrub lot, or if you're standing at the barn, the nursery. You really don't know that this area exists. It is that little secret nook area. What we're going to do, and what we have done, and what we're doing, is removed all of what I call like the junk trees, the trash trees. These are all natural trees that have grown here. They have never been planted. Nothing has been planted here. These are all volunteers. Obviously, we have some massive, gorgeous, stunning tulip poplars that are just lovely and gnarly, like this one I showed to you the other day when we planted the Midnight Express redbud, which is just right there. But it's really fun because these trees are literally growing on the creek bank, and you can see all of their really fun, gnarly roots that are just hanging out right here. All the trees really kind of do that through this area. You can see right here. The ceremony for Alyssa and Nick is going to take place right here. And Alyssa and Nick basically are going to stand here, and then the guest will sit here, but they're going to be facing this way. Okay, gives you an idea. When we were looking, and this whole little area was just an absolute mess from the perspective of the trees that were growing here, crossing the creek, trying not to fall here. And what I wanted to do was remove all of those junky trees, scraggly. They were really like thin, scraggly trees, whether it was a pine, cedar, tons of briars are in there, some grapevine, all of that. So now here we are back on the nursery side of the creek, and envision that Nick and Alyssa are standing here with the guest looking in this direction. Removed all of the scraggly stuff from the massive poplar all the way over to the next poplar. Well, clearly we don't want to leave that, right? We want to have a beautiful dark evergreen screen back there. So we got some thuja green giants and some Bracken's brown beauty magnolias. Beautiful camellias, some October magic orchid, pretty sure that was orchid, camellias, and that is what Jerry is bringing over right now. I wanted this screen to be evergreen. So no matter what time of year it is, you're gonna have a really nice, lush, dense evergreen screen back here that hides, you know, the road, because this is the entrance to the nursery is just right here. So the gate is right there, and then the road coming down to the nursery is here, and then the road to production runs the whole length. So Jerry and Andrew grabbed the camellias. So let's head over there and look at those camellias. Change the plans a little bit. We'll look at those in just a second. Because what we're going to do is we're going to basically kind of reverse plant this. Imagine that this is the front of the flower bed. I want the camellias, because they're going to be the smallest ones, in front, and then we're going to work our way back and window pane the green giants and the magnolias. These camellias get 3 to 4 feet wide. We're spacing them right now like 6 feet apart. That way they'll have basically 2 feet between each one as they mature. So my question is, the design is, I want them to come this way the most, I believe, because we've got 2 more to go. And I think I would rather have them here because that's where the entrance is, and as opposed to over in this direction. Now, at some point, if we wanted to continue it and bring those around, then we certainly could do that. But at this moment, that's great. So Jerry said they need to put some down there, which is great. I love that the last one is right here visually off, right close to the big poplar that's right here. So this is the last one, which works out great for me visually, and then perfect. And then the fellas, they have 2 more that they can put down right here. So it's this really nice arch. We're staying at the top of the creek bank. We don't want to go down in there. Unfortunately, that's kind of where briars were, so we'll have to make sure we keep that contained. That is perfect. That is, I would love to say that I like planned that out exactly, but I didn't, and it's great. So we have a total of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, we have 10. So we have 10. I didn't even know how many I ordered. So we have 10 of them spaced 6 feet apart. So that's a total of 60 feet. We're going to plant these first with using the bobcat with the auger. Drill those holes. These are 3-gallon camellias. So now let's go look at them. Look at this beauty. Yes. So from Southern Living Plant Collection, this is October Magic Orchid. It is a Sasanqua camellia. Y'all, seriously, how beautiful is this camellia? Nice kind of soft pink as the buds, and as it opens up, it'll take on the more of the white with the pink edging. Just such a beautiful camellia. This is going to be full sun to part shade, which will be perfect because the sun will shine on this in the afternoon. From the nursery side, it'll be 4 to 5 feet tall and 3 to 4 wide. Hardy in zones 7 to 9. And Sasanquas, of course, are your fall bloomers, completely covered in flowers. Just absolutely completely covered. Now, yes, Alyssa is getting married in May. Are the camellias gonna be blooming in May? No, they are not, but that is okay because my goal here on this side of the creek is to have an evergreen hedge so that no matter what time of year it is, no matter what the event is, we have a nice, lovely evergreen screen right here. Alyssa is getting married, like I said, in May. I did not want to put hydrangeas here. You could have done hydrangeas and they would have been beautiful, especially maybe for her wedding in May. But then what if you have somebody come and get married in, you know, right now, November? Well, they're gonna look ugly and they're gonna be sticks, and I don't want that. I wanted a nice evergreen. Now, on the other side of the creek, the nursery side of the creek, where there are flower beds, then that's where we're gonna have hydrangeas and mixed flower beds with all sorts of great things. So that is the plan. What we're gonna do is get these sweet things in the ground, and then we'll move on to the trees. The camellias are planted. Jerry is headed over with 3 of the camellias. So I will, we'll talk about the we'll talk about the magnolias here in just a minute. We're gonna hit the camellias and we're gonna talk about camellias and camellia care. But yep, there are 3 of the magnolias. The orchid camellias are all nice and planted. Now, a couple of things on camellia care and when you are planting them and how you care for them. Obviously, with any tree, shrub, perennial, annual that we plant, we use the biotone starter fertilizer. One of the key successes in growing camellias is establishing a really healthy, strong root system. And for the first year, 2 years is when you're going to be most concerned about your camellias, because once camellias get established, they are like some of the longest living shrubs that I know of, and they can handle drought, they can handle any kind of adverse conditions once they are well established. Happy roots equal happy shoots, and we want to have nice happy roots, therefore we use the biotone. I was wrong when I said these are 3 gallons, they're not, they're 7 gallons. So they are really nice. When you're looking at camellias, if you can, the bigger you can get your root system, like the bigger the camellia that you purchase, means that the root system obviously is going to be more developed and more mature. So that's why we want to go with kind of the biggest camellias that you can get. From that, you want to plant them, and obviously this is just native soil, right? This is good old red clay here. There is nothing special about this. There is nothing fancy. The good thing about red clay and other clay is that it does hold moisture and it holds nutrition really, really well, which is going to help us, because throughout your camellia care in those first year or 2, you're going to want to make sure that they get nice, consistent water. Deep watering is best. This is not going to be on irrigation, so we will have to make sure that they get supplemental water. In the fall, winter, typically it's not an issue because we get good, consistent rain. We've not been getting some good rain, so we will probably hook up the tractor and get them well watered until the rains do begin. You will notice that we came back through with our land and seed compost. We top dressed. So for this 1 7-gallon plant, we put 1 whole bag of land and seed. If you wanted to mix in some of the compost into your native soil when you're planting, you absolutely could do that. Just be careful that you don't put too much compost. You want to have it mostly to be native soil, and then some compost certainly is not going to hurt. By top dressing, we are amending the soil still. The great nutrition, all the organic material is going to leach down into the root system of these camellias. It helps retain moisture, it helps keep the weeds out, and just as an overall great benefit. You can add your compost to your camellias once a year. It's not going to matter terribly what time of year that is. Really, it's going to be whatever is the most convenient for you. So whenever you're in there where you're adding in some more mulch or some pine needles, you're dressing up the area, go ahead and throw down some land and seed compost once a year and you're good to go. Fertilizing with your camellias. Camellias are acid-loving plants. They love acidic soil. Probably why they do so well here in the South, because typically we have very, very acidic soil. Hollytone is going to be my go-to fertilizer. That's what I'm going to use. And with camellias, you can fertilize them roughly about 3 times a year, especially when you're in the stage that I am, where I'm trying to get them established. I'm trying to encourage growth. I want them to get nice and big. Once you have big mature camellias, a once a year type of application would be perfect. That's all you really need for it. I will throw up kind of an idea of a fertilizing schedule with using that, but the Hollytone is great because of course it is that slow release fertilizer. You don't have to worry about it burning the plants, and you're just going to come in and you're just going to shake it around the drip line of the plant, kind of zhuzh it in, as I say, with your fingers, and you're good to go. Give it some good drink of water. If you can do it right before rain, then that saves you the step of not having to worry about watering. Pruning your camellias. Camellias bloom on old growth. So what does that mean? It means that you do not want to prune your camellias really past the spring. Late spring would be the last that I would prune a camellia, because all of these beautiful flowers that you see, notice kind of where they are on the plant. Are they up at the tippy top where the new growth is? Nope, they're not. Those new flowers and those beautiful flowers are more towards the bottom where we have a lot of that old growth. If I were to prune this camellia come springtime, what I would do is simply take off a little bit of this height. So I would probably come in right here above a leaf node, and I would go ahead and prune it, because yes, these are going to be nice and tall, but I don't want these to get too gangly. I want to have nice compact growth down here. So like I said, late spring, for me, calendar wise, that's going to be I don't know, March, April. I wouldn't probably prune your camellia any later. Don't prune it any later than the end of May. You want to kind of think of it that way. That way you've got plenty of time, June, July, August, for it to grow. But yeah, you don't want it to, and set buds, right? You don't want to prune off your flowers, because that of course is the beautiful thing about these camellias. Now, let's talk about the trees that are going in, because all of the magnolias are here, and we've got one of the green giants. Bracken's Brown Beauty magnolias are really fantastic because they are that classic magnolia. Look at the gorgeous color on the underneath side of that leaf. Magnolias are iconic here in the South, right? Glossy green leaves, that nice dark underside. Use them a lot at Christmas for decorations and like for greenery. Just gorgeous. Of course, it will produce its classic white flowers that we love about magnolias. But the Bracken's Brown Beauty is going to be hardy in zones 5 to 9. Full sun, of course, and it is going to be about 30 to 50 feet tall and about 15 to 30 feet wide. So lots of great room there between these guys, and just going to produce an absolutely stunning hedge backdrop to the nook area. Now, a lot of people who have magnolias talk about that they really dislike having their magnolia in their garden per se, because they can be messy trees. They will drop leaves, you know, throughout the season. So in that aspect, they can be quite messy. So if you're trying to have a neat and tidy formal garden, or, you know, a nice kept garden, and you have other plants planted around it, then it can be a little bit problematic. In this case, in this instance, it's going to be perfect. I don't care if it drops leaves, right? I don't care if it's messy. That does not bother me a bit. We're just going to be keeping, you know, weeds and briars and that kind of stuff out of here. But I want it to have that more natural woodland type of look to it. So it does not bother me whatsoever that these are going to be messy. Now, would I want to have this in the backyard, like on the front of my house, like right up close to the house? Maybe not, right? So just kind of keep that in mind when you're looking at the trees. So we've got 5 of the Bracken's Brown Beauty, and then we have got, and these are nice big, right? We go big or go home. Nothing's too good for our Alyssa around here. We've got the Thuja Green Giants. Beautiful, totally different texture, right? So a totally different texture of the foliage. Love these trees. We've actually got 4 of these guys. You can see they're already, both the magnolias and the green giants are going to be about 7 feet tall already. So will give us kind of an instant hedge, which is great. These are going to be pyramidal in shape as well. We have 3 of these at the the tractor shed. And y'all, when I say we've done nothing to them, we literally have done nothing. No bugs bother them. They're not on irrigation. We don't fertilize them. We don't prune them. We just leave them alone. But these are just beautiful trees, fast growing, gorgeous, gorgeous trees. So the plan is what we're going to do is, because these are massive root balls, I believe we're going to use the excavator. Yes, I just got a nod from Jerry. We're going to use the excavator to actually dig the holes for these, because even the Bobcat's auger is too small for these guys, because these are 25 and 30 gallon trees. We're going to use the machinery and place them. I will probably more than likely go stand on the other side of the creek and kind of figure out exactly where we're going to place these, because I have an idea of window painting them, but I know exactly where they're going to go. So we're going to figure that out together. It's a hub of activity around here. We are using the excavator to dig these holes because these are big old fat trees. It is easier when you're picking out trees from both a nurseryman's experience and from a homeowner's experience. If you're looking to add larger trees like this to your landscape, you're going to be faced with two choices. You can do a potted plant like these are, or you can do a B&B, ball and burlap. That is where the tree has been growing in the ground, and then the grower has a special machine that cuts it out of the ground. They wrap it in burlap and oftentimes like a wire cage, and then you can purchase them then and then put them in the landscape instead of the potted plants. So you will have choices either way. Keep in mind that the B&Bs tend to be a lot heavier. And so if you had a B&B of this size, unless you have heavy equipment at your house, you're probably going to have to pay to have it installed, because what's in these pots is like nursery soil, right? So it's a potting mix, for lack of a better word. So it's professional growing medium, whereas a B&B is going to be native soil. So if it was like in North Carolina, you would have the thick red clay, which obviously weighs a lot more. Just kind of think about that when you're looking at trees. Is it a B&B or is it in a pot? And there you go. You can make the best decision. Talk to your local garden center, see what they recommend, and then two, sometimes it comes based on availability. Maybe you can only get it in a pot, or maybe you can only get it in a B&B. So just be aware of that. Just know that B&Bs are heavy, and this size, they would probably have to be professionally installed. The final layout is complete, right? As far as we have everybody spaced out correctly. So what we did, obviously the magnolias are going to be on the back. The green giants are going to be closer to the creek. Keep in mind that these trees are going to get nice and wide. Basically, they're going to be pyramids, and when they are at maturity and very close to maturity, they're all going to be kissing each other. So looking right here, there is 15 feet between the trees, because they can get 15 feet wide. So just imagine that you come out half the length on this side, half the length, and they're going to kiss each other. We did bring the magnolias a little bit, hopefully the drone will show this, but they're in a little bit more of kind of an arc. It's not a straight line because, of course, the nook is not a straight line. Everybody is nice and arched. We are going to limb up this maple tree. It is spectacular in the fall. It has lost a lot of leaves here recently, and just a vibrant yellow. But don't fret, I know it looks like that this tree is going to go straight up in there. We're going to take care of that, so don't worry about that. We'll limb those up. And so limb up all this stuff. The chainsaw evidently went kaput, so that's why that did not happen right there. But from the perspective across the creek, it just looks phenomenal. We did go ahead, Andrew sprayed each of the trees. Notice he went around the circle and then brought out some lines, so that way it kind of gives us, when Jackson is in the excavator, it gives him a reference point because of where those trees are going. Now, because you've got trees of this size, basically, we're going to go through a lot of biotone. On the bag, we're just following the recommendation on the bag. So one large bag of biotone is doing 2 of these trees. We've got 5 bags, so we'll have a little bit left over. And then we're going to come back and put a nice thick layer of mulch around it. You can see we're using, of course, the excavator to put that soil back, because of course you're going to, you pull out a lot of soil, so the soil needs to go back. We went with these and we did them more at ground level than raised up, which is what we typically do, simply because of the water issue. These, we want to make sure that they get plenty of water and can retain that good moisture. These are not on irrigation. These are going to be at the mercy of the good Lord and the rain that He gives us. Probably, we'll see. They're calling for rain this weekend. If we don't get rain within the next day or so, then we will hook up the tractor and we will go ahead and give them a good drink of water. Of course, we water the trees before we planted them, but you can see getting those in the ground and just having to use technology and some good old manual labor. So what we're going to do is just keep on working and get these sweet things in the ground, and we'll film all that for you, and then we'll meet you back here in just a little bit. Today's project is complete, and man, isn't it beautiful? Jerry is going to put the drone up for you so you can see just the expanse of this space and get the whole perspective of where everything is. We always enjoy the drone footage for sure, but it's all planted. Everybody's got lots of biotone in their hole. They are nice and snug in their new homes. You can see that we came through and top dressed this whole bed with our bulk mulch, so that way we were going back and forth. Do we just go around the trees? Do we do the whole area? And given that we had the equipment and we had this bulk mulch on hand, we just decided to go ahead and do the whole thing. That way it amends the whole entire area. But it looks phenomenal. Alyssa loves it. Everybody loves it for that matter. Just such a nice, fun, exciting project that we get to do, getting ready for the big day. I told Alyssa, I was like, all right, first major wedding landscape project is now complete. Thank you so much for getting married. She said, happy to oblige. So very excited about this. Andrew is coming through. He's has the tractor. We're gonna put the massive water tank on the back of it because, like we talked about, this is not on irrigation. The only way that this is gonna get water is one of two ways. The Lord gives it to us through rain, which that is not in the forecast anytime in the foreseeable future. And when we were doing these holes, it is quite dry. Then the other option, of course, is that we water it. We're not gonna get a hose over here. There's not a hose in sight. So we will hook up the trailer with the water tank on there and come through and give them a nice good drink of water. That's going to be really critical here until the rains start, is to make sure that they are well watered. The good thing is with our clay soil that once we get them watered, it will retain that water and it's not going to dry out super fast. But being a 25, 30 gallon trees, you're gonna have to keep the water on them, especially with these being nice evergreen trees. The last thing you want is for your magnolia to drop its leaves or your green giants to turn brown, because once that happens, there's not a lot of coming back from that. So that's gonna be our main thing, is keeping the water on them. And then of course, we are gonna have to maintain the creek bank because there was so many briars, so much grapevine, kind of nuisance invasive weeds that we're gonna have to really be aware of that. There was a patch on one corner near the big poplar tree where there is some English ivy. We did not plant that. That just either came from a bird, it came down the creek. I don't know that. I don't know where it came from, but it was not from us. And we're gonna make sure that we eradicate that and get rid of it. But just maintain those briars as they pop up to keep them out of here so that this area does not get overtaken by those pesky weeds and growth. So it's a great day and we hope you have enjoyed it and found it informative and fun. And Jerry's moving the camera with his hand. We appreciate you. It's been a long day. And so we get to go have a fun Zoom call with our Zach, our website guy. New website's coming along quite nicely and we'll be launching soon. So you just got a little dose of real life right there. We do appreciate you. Looking forward to all the fun adventures that we have coming up in the next 6 months, getting ready for this wedding. As always, y'all have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends. Don't touch the tripod.